All right, everybody. I am with the one and only Mr. Matt Faircloth, the infamous Matt Faircloth. Now, if you guys don't know who Matt Faircloth is, let me do a quick introduction of who this man is. This guy has been a real estate investor for, I don't know, would you say 15 years, 20 years,
17.
something? 15,
17.
15, 17
17
years.
years.
So Matt Faircloth has been an investor for the last 17 years, and he has acquired over $150 million worth of real estate. That is incredible right there. $150 million worth of real estate. That's over 1,800 units in terms of apartment buildings. Matt Faircloth, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. So, Matt, tell us how you did it. Let's and let me add something. You are
I'm just a real estate dude trying to get by, man.
I was gonna
What?
say you are super relatable to people
Yes.
because you have not only have you done all of this, but you've done single family homes and
Yes.
flips and rentals, and you've done everything that a normal real estate investor would do. You just kept on doing it and you got to where you are today.
I kept
So
growing and just putting one foot in front of the other. And I'm a testament that you don't have to just go to like, like read a book on multifamily and then go buy multifamily. You can be buying this size property and then grow and scale or whatever. And you can do what Hone's shirt says and start multiplying your
yeah.
portfolio and getting into larger and larger deals. So that's multiply,
Yeah.
right?
So Matt, I
Yeah.
would love to hear. So what have you done? What was the beginning of your career like? And then how did you go from that to
Interesting.
where you are, right?
Yeah.
So if
Beginning
you
of the
wouldn't
career was
mind.
interesting.
Yeah.
My first rental property was a single family home that I lived in, and I rented out 2 bedrooms to 2 buddies of mine. Like that's how I got started. Was with a house hack, a very applicable. Didn't just it didn't just what didn't inherit a couple hundred units or and then took it from there or whatever. We went and started from zero in a house I lived in, bought it on a 3% down FHA mortgage. And that was it.
Right.
That's how we did it.
Right. Okay. So you
Yeah.
had a start that a lot of people have. They buy a
Yeah.
house, they use some kind of interesting mortgage, and then they're like, okay, I'm a real estate investor because they go out
Yeah.
and buy
Bada
another house.
bing. Right.
Yeah, done,
Figure it
right?
out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when would you say your real estate career really took off? When did you consider yourself a real estate investor? What do you
When
think that
I,
point was?
well, so right after I got married, my wife and I agreed that it would be a good idea for me to quit my day job. I had a day job working for Ingersoll Rand. I was one of the traveling sales reps, and I used to, travel all around Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, parts of North Carolina, and sell their machinery all over. And I just my heart wasn't in it. I was good at it, but I didn't like it per se. And so we figured out that we could live off of if we lived below our means, my wife and I could live off of her income only, and have her be the only breadwinner for our family. And so that was the equation for us to quit my job and go invest full time.
Wow. So how did you
And
go
that's
about
when
doing?
that's when the rubber really hit the road. What's that?
Right. So all right. You were working in Ingersoll Rand full time, and you were a
Mhm.
real estate investor part time already.
Yeah,
You were
so
right.
we had the home I lived in at the time, which I then leased. I was leasing it by the bedroom, right? So I had the bedroom that I lived in that I had somebody move into, and then I moved out of the house and moved in with my new wife, right? While Liz and I were dating, we also bought a duplex in East Falls,
Okay.
Philly. So we had 3 units, and so I was married with three rental units. The
Okay.
house I used to live in, and then 2 more in this duplex. And my wife and I bought a home in New Jersey because that's where she had to live for her job. And we moved just south of Trenton in a little town called Bordentown. And Trenton was in my backyard. And so I decided to make Trenton the playground that I would get myself going in. And so that's why we became big Trenton real estate investors, because it was the closest to where we lived.
Got it. So when you quit your job, did you only have the 3 units?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you quit your job because you had the 3 units, you weren't liking what you were doing full time, and your wife was working full time and she was going to keep her job, and then you were going to sit out and make it big as a real estate investor.
Yeah, and we lived off her income. I mean, and that's okay as a married couple. That sometimes you need one that produces the stability and the other one that produces the growth. And that's what worked for Liz and I at the time. Now that took a lot longer than we thought. We thought that she was gonna need to. We thought that she was gonna, I'd be do it for like a year or two, and then she quit. You know, it didn't work out that way.
Right.
Because the crash came. It was 2005. Right after I quit my job, things got really crazy in the market, and then all of a sudden the market crashed. And then America had to rebuild itself out of the market crash, and I had to, find my way through all that. It
So
was
how
an
did you
interesting
find your
time.
way? How did you find your way through all of that? So what are we talking? 2008, the market crashes, and then you're like, "Uh-oh, she's got a full-time job, and I have to figure out this
Yeah,
whole
what
thing."
hit the fan, and everything like that. I mean, it was crazy. The way we navigated our way through it was we went to rentals. We were involved in a lot of different things. I had multiple fix and flips going on. I had built a house and sold it. I had done a lot of different. I was a dabbler, I think, up until the crash, and the crash happened, and the only thing that would work at the time of the crash was rentals. You couldn't flip anymore. You could wholesale, but everybody owed more than what people were willing to pay. And so you do this tactic called which you don't hear about anymore, but I think it'll come back into fashion, called a short sale, where you get the bank to sell the property for much less than what's owed on it. So we started doing some short sales, but far and away, what put money in our pocket was rentals. And so we really doubled down and grew our rental portfolio and started doing more rental deals. And then eventually our first passive investor showed up, which was a guy my wife went to college with, and they were getting reconnected on like a network, like a alumni thing that they had, where my wife went to Penn. I married a smart girl,
Yeah.
so she was talking to one of her friends from Penn about what her and I did. And he was like, geez, I sure wish I could invest in real estate too, but I just don't have the time. And she was like, you should talk to my husband, And so he became my first passive investor, and put in 50K, and we bought some properties that were valued at like 125,000 a unit. And I bought them for $25,000 a unit,
Wow.
because of the crash. So
Wow.
we bought them for
Okay.
peanuts, fixed them back up, and rented them out, and then
So
rinse and repeat,
so were you able to buy them at $25,000 a unit because you bought it short? You had the bank
Yes.
short. Wow.
I bought
Okay.
it from a wholesaler. I bought it from a
Oh,
wholesaler that he negotiated the short sale down to 20K, and he made 5K a door on me selling me these properties for 25K. And
got
then
it.
I bought them and put another 25K into them. So I was all in at 50K, right? Per property. Then
Right.
I leased them out for 950. Think about that. From the 2% rule,
Oh,
the whole 2% rule actually happened back in the day.
back in the day.
Um,
Right. Right.
yeah. But everything you buy, I mean, these were garbage. They were so destroyed. And so I, put them back, got them back healthy again, put them on the market, got them leased, and then was able to refinance them, and get my investor money back out of the properties. And then we were able to rinse and repeat and do it. We did the burr strategy before we knew that's what it was called.
Right.
And we did it over and over and over again. And he started, this guy that went to college with my wife is now a stockbroker in New York. And before you know it, he's getting his friends and one of his clients into the mix with me. And before you knew it, we're doing bigger and bigger deals. So we formed a company and bought like 3 or 4 rentals. And then we went and bought like 19 small multifamilies, and that. So we started to scale up and up and up. And before you knew it, the snowball was going, and I was able to use those deals as track record for my next deals. And then we're off to the races. And that was technically Derosa Capital 1. It wasn't under that name at the time because I didn't know there was going to be a Derosa Capital 2. So so that was under a different name, but I now refer to that arrangement as Derosa Capital 1. And now we've closed out Derosa Capital 16, looking at 17 now.
Got it. Wow. Wow. And up until that point, so DeRosa's, if you after closing DeRosa Capital 16, when you add all that up, that's $150 million worth of property,
Yes.
nine
We
figures,
went bigger, 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 bigger. Yeah.
bigger, 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 right? But at the time when you were doing DeRosa Capital 1, I mean, you're doing $25,000 properties, right? And you're getting a private money loan. You're getting a private money loan from your wife's
Yeah.
colleague from college or whatever, and that's how you got your start, and bit by bit. And you said you were doing wholesales, you were doing flips, you were doing all kinds of stuff, but the thing that made you the most money on a consistent basis was just rentals, just by
Yep.
owning the rentals, right?
Yep.
And then that by owning the rentals allowed you to then have the credibility to buy the next rental and the next and the next and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's
And after a few of those deals, Liz quit her job.
oh wow. Okay.
That's how I got her out. That's how she quit her job. Is we did our first deal in 2010. I'm going to air quote it. Derosa Capital 11 or Derosa Capital 1, excuse me. Derosa Capital 1 air quote was in 2010, 2011, I think. And then Derosa 2013 is when she quit her job. So 2 years after we did that first private equity deal is when she was able to quit.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And do you remember how many properties that was, or what kind of revenue that was, or what allowed you to say, okay, Liz, time for you to quit too? So then now you're both free. Do
I was
you have
making
any?
enough to feed my family,
Okay.
I was making enough to pay our bills. And we lived lean, man. I mean, we lived in a little townhome that was way below our means. We had no kids at the time. She quit when we got pregnant with our son. And just kind of that's how, like, the weird timing happened, is that like magically when we get pregnant, all of a sudden the income shows up. We do a deal. What put us over the top, we bought an 18 unit in Philadelphia. We did that. We bought that deal, and that was DC5. That was Derosa Capital 5.
Wow.
And DC5 was an 18 unit in Philly, and that put us over the top cash flow wise, which was like, I think our passive at the time was like 4 or 5K a month, with everything we put together, and we were off to the races from there.
Wow. Okay. So 4 or 5K was enough, and you were like, okay, we're free.
Hey, we don't have kids. It doesn't take much, man. When
Right.
you live in a little townhouse, and you live lean and you don't have kids, it doesn't take much to get you over the top.
Right. So anybody watching this in that position right now, if you're like,
don't have kids,
no kids, no kids,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right.
live super lean. You can be free really quick, really
I love
quick.
my children. Right? I love my children, but they can be expensive.
Little asterisks. I love my children asterisks. Yeah. All right. So did you also make any money outside of your passive income, or was your marker how much money we made passively? Did you?
I mean, sometimes I would do I think at one point we did like a minor coaching program for we did like a 90-day Kickstarter program that people paid a couple $1,000s to do with us, which was a little rounding error, some extra money. I would do a flip every here and again. I would do a wholesale every here and again and stuff like that. But for the most part, rentals were my primary income, but I also would, do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But those were, the thing was with that Hone is those were the unreliable sources of income. What paid me every month, you could set your watch to it, my rentals. And that's the flips and the wholesales and that kind of stuff. Those are like crack. That's like the heroin shot, because it's like, ooh, I could do this deal and make 20, 30, 40K. And I did, and I would, but every here and again, that deal would fall apart and I would make nothing. Or even better, that deal would go south and I would lose money. Doing flips and wholesales, man, it's like going to a roulette wheel. It's very inconsistent, and you don't know what you're really going to get. But it can be very addictive, because when you do hit on those deals, it can be a shot in the arm. I mean, I had one deal we made 6 figures on, but I mean, I'll take that was that. And you add that up for all the other deals that we lost on. I mean, it's kind of like up or down,
just like gambling at roulette.
Yeah, right. Maybe you walk away from the table with money in your pocket. Maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't, but if you don't count your loss,
but you won't know.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Right. And usually if you don't count, you never know. And so you only remember the times you won big and your life looks good.
Yeah. What I like about rentals is that there is recourse, that if the rental's not making me money, it's likely because the tenant's not paying me, or because my expenses are too high, or because, right? And rentals can bleed you over time, certainly, but rentals can also easily be tweaked. to go the right direction. Okay, well, I need to make more rent on this. Well, what can I do? Well, maybe I can, fit out the basement, put some washer dryers in there. Or maybe I can look to do some value add and raise rents a little bit. Maybe I can appeal my real estate taxes. Maybe I can push the utilities and tenants' name. There's little tweaks and massages you can do on rentals to make them produce a little more revenue. A flip, if you lose, that's it. It's not like, let me try again on this flip. You transfer the asset. It's done. That's it. You lose. Next try again.
Yeah. Got it. Maybe next time bet on black or red or whatever. Like,
mix it up, you had your money on the wrong thing. Oh, it hit 00. You lose. Right. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So the rentals gave you that consistent money that allowed you to have the confidence to tell your wife she can leave, and then you guys went full time. Now, transitioning from what you were doing to your first 18 unit, let's talk about that. A lot of people on here, to buy 18 units would be a dream. That's like, whoa, that's big time.
My first double digit was a 10 unit up in Ewing, New Jersey. That was DC4. Okay. That was my first double digit air quote apartment building. I owned a bunch of 4 families and 5 families by that point. But my first, foray into the double digit land was 10 in Ewing. And then soon after that was DC5 to buy a 18 unit in Northeast Philly.
Got it. Let's talk about that transition. So you're buying 4 and 5 units, and then you're going to the 10 to 18 units. Like, was the financing different? Was the rehabs different? Like, what growth, what changed about your investing model to buy the 10 units and 15 units or 18 units?
The financing was, what's funny, Hone, is that people think, it must be more complex to get financing on larger apartment buildings. It's actually easier. And so the 18 unit, we had it under contract, and I had what's called a term sheet. For those, that don't know, term sheet is like an offer from a bank. I will lend you this amount of money at this interest rate, and this is what my other terms are going to look like. We had a term sheet from Oritani Bank. That's the one that financed that deal, name drop or whatever. Within 48 hours of us going under contract, we had a term sheet. And so that was great. So we knew what the financing was going to look like. It was partially non-recourse. That means I had to do a personal guarantee, but that personal guarantee burned off and went away over time. The 18 unit was the first deal that we had done that was out of state for us. All of our assets and operations were in New Jersey. So the 18 unit was a little bit of a stretch because it was in PA, but it was close enough. We self-managed at the time. We managed 115 units by that point, mostly ours, but for other people. And I'm counting the 18 unit in there too. So it was 115 with the 18 unit. Got it. So we were just under 100 at the time. And I had a leasing agent, a maintenance tech, and an office manager that worked for me. And so that team and us and me were able to take down that 18 unit and manage it in-house. And so that was a bit of a stretch for us there. The stretch part was learning Philly landlording laws. And as you know, as a Philly landlord, you got to learn that. And it's not hard. You got to learn, right? To learn the rules. Hey, I'm in a new, this is a new game board. I knew the New Jersey game board really well. And I knew the rules for the New Jersey game of real estate. I did not know the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia game board, but you learn it. So we learned what Philly landlording was and what the rules were, what you can charge as security deposits, and this whole thing about charging tenants the last month's rent when they move in. Great. Love it. Let's do that. So we had to learn the rules, and, we were able to apply our structures and business systems from New Jersey into the Pennsylvania asset, and we were off to the races.
Right. So let's talk about that 10 unit and let's talk about the 18 unit. Do you remember the purchase prices for those?
Sure. The 10 unit we bought for $550. In Ewing, bought it. It was fairly stabilized. I was able to get rents up a little bit over time. But it was one of those deals that made pretty good money at the time that it was sold, at the time that we bought it. It made like $700 or $800 a month in cash flow. Right. And we were able to get it up to like $2,500 to $3,000 by the time that we sold it. Wow. It was making around $2,500 or $3,000 a month by the time that we liquidated. Now we sold that property 10 years after we bought it. I sold it for $950. Okay. So we did good percentage wise. Yeah. Yeah, on the property, but that took a while to get rents, up, and to get you had a lot of bad tenants that the prior owner was just, it's always bad. I don't know why, but people sell property when they've got, tenants that are misbehaving, so that property had some misbehaving tenants. The 18 unit in Philly, you had plenty of them too. Yeah, 18 unit in Philly wasn't making any money when we bought it because the prior owner had a fire in the property. He had taken the insurance money, reinvested it into the building, and had cleaned up the fire units and had brought it back up to code and had obtained a CO from the city that allowed him to occupy those apartments. This guy was 70 years old. This property was called Carroll Manor because the guy's wife's name was Carroll, and he built it. This guy was a GC who built that apartment building for his wife.
Wow.
And owned it for 40 years, right? And had the fire, and he's 70 some years old. I met him at closing, and it just was not in his wheelhouse or in his desire. I think he looked at that as a sign from God that it's time to sell. And so he did the work, got the units back up, and sold it 50% occupied. So we bought it from him 50% occupied with newly turned units. And so we were able to come in, we leased up those apartments, started making good cash flow, realized that every unit that he had was leased under market compared to the new units we had leased up. On top of that, the other units, they were, not performing well rent wise. And there was also some bad actors in the property.
Gotcha. So how much was that purchase price for the 18 unit?
1.05 million.
Okay. So you got the $600,000 10 unit, then you got the $1 million 18 unit. How did you finance these? Did you have to put down 30% or 20%, or what did that look like?
I raised for the 10 unit, that was a little funky. We laid like 150 down when we bought it. Because DC4, I raised $300,000 in cash for DC4, Gross Capital 4. So we took that money and I bought 2 4 units in Trenton, free and clear. Okay. Bought one from the foreclosure auction, bought another one from a wholesaler. Okay. Came in, fixed them up, got them leased out. They're both 100% vacant when we bought them, leased them, fixed them up, leased them out, refinanced them.
Right.
Okay. Then I got a big lump of cash and I took part of that and I laid down on a stabilized 5 unit. And I took the other part of that and I bought the 10 unit with it. I was able to BRRRR strategy with investors' money. Right. So that's how that financing went. We went at that point, we were really doing a lot of work with the credit union in New Jersey because they were doing 80% down financing, no construction, but 80% down to buy a property. So they financed the 10 unit for us. So that was done. The 18 unit, we raised 500,000 and we put most of that down onto that property, laid around 350 down. I took the other 150 and made that operating capital. And we also, again, I get a little complicated sometimes. We took the other 150, used as some operating cash, and we also bought some tax liens that we just kept the cash moving and bought real estate tax liens to buy the money, buy the property, buy the tax lien, make 18%, get our money back. We stopped doing that over time because we started reinvesting more and more of that back into that building, into that 18 unit as we started upgrading and, carrying it to the next level. So,
all right, cool. Well,
then I got 75% financing on the buy side.
So let me translate all of that into English for those who are listening. All right. So what's fantastic, if you guys were listening, I was asking Matt, and I was very key in my questions because I know a lot of people when they're hearing this, they're like, oh, in order to buy these properties, I need 20% down and 30% down. So essentially, Matt had to put 20 or 30% down as well, if you were listening. But the way he did it was he raised the money. And now sometimes he raised the money directly and sometimes he didn't. In the first deal, he raised enough money to go buy 2 properties, right? So he raised money as equity, not debt. He raised it as equity. He bought 2 properties. These properties he's buying, he's not using a bank. So he buys the property, he renovates it, he rents it out, and then he gets it high value. And then after he gets it at high value, he refinances that property. And now he has a ball of cash back. Right. So his investors are invested in these properties. He was able to pull money back out. Now he has all of this cash left over. And now he uses this money as a down payment.
Tax-free ball of cash, by the way.
Tax-free ball of cash because he didn't sell. He did not sell. This was not capital gains. He takes that tax-free ball of cash and he uses that ball of cash as a down payment for the 10 unit. So he is still having to put 20 or 30% down, but that down payment came from this tax-free ball of cash that he got from refinancing a building that he got from raising money from other private investors. So the money doesn't have to come from your pocket. And in this case, it didn't come from Matt. So his 10 unit, he was able to buy that without using his own money. Same thing for the 18 unit, but he even took that a step further. He raised enough money to put as the down payment, but he also raised enough money so he can do the rehab or operations for the 18 unit. And while he wasn't spending the 18 or the $150,000 that he raised for operations, he took that money and he put it into a tax lien, and he was able to get a return on that money. So he essentially took that money, invested it in something, got 18% return while it was sitting there not being used. And so he was just moving money over and over and over. And he created, what was that, 10 plus 18, the 28 units with other people's money, and creating all kinds of additional income and buying additional properties all along the way, all from raising money. So if anybody listening is afraid that they can't become a real estate investor or a multifamily real estate investor, that's why you guys came here, because you don't have the money. Notice Matt didn't have the money either.
And I just figured it out, guys. I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy, but I'm not that smart. It's not like I went to school for real estate investing and got a master's in it or whatever, and that's what taught me about tax liens or whatever. You just kind of figure it out as we went. And we were not that complex on our very first, second, third, or fourth deal. We added a little more complexity, a little more stretch, a little more this, a little more that every time. We played the market. At the time, there were lots of bank-owned foreclosures out there. Everything was vacant. Everything was completely destroyed. No due diligence, no nothing. Buy it as is. Close within 2 weeks is the only way you could do deals back then, because it was blood in the streets from all the foreclosure mess and the mortgage run-up that happened from before. So that's where we had to play the market. That's not the market we're in now, but we just learned that that was the game, so we'll play the game. You know?
Right. So you bring up a really good point, because that was the market then, and you just went through the market and kind of figured it out as you went along. But it's not like you were completely blind. Every little thing you did was a little stretch. It wasn't like a huge stretch. It was just like,
no,
oh, I understand how this works, and I'm currently doing this. I can cross that bridge. It's not too bad. And then you would do that. And then once you cross that bridge, now you have that in your repertoire. Then going to the next little thing was, again, a little bridge. And then you just cross. And before you know it, you were doing all kinds of things. But today, that is not the market, right? We are not experiencing this glut of foreclosures. We are not experiencing 18% tax liens. We're not experiencing all of those things that you were doing. But we are experiencing something, right? And in terms of raising money, that's still a thing. You're still doing that to this day, right? The same strategy. You're raising money from private investors. You're using some kind of bank financing or long-term financing to provide you about 75% of the of the money to purchase the property, right? So you're raising down payment money. You're using a lender to give you 75% of the purchase money, and then you're also raising money for your operation. So that strategy you are still doing to this day, yes?
No. Yeah, absolutely. Just, I'm not buying bank-owned foreclosures anymore, and I'm not having to like gut properties down to the studs or whatever, because this is what the market was. But I learned how to do value add at the time, and we're still doing the value add thing and still taking properties that are worth this, investing this into them, and magically they're worth this when we're done. That equation still plays. Actually plays more. The bigger you go in multifamily, the more that equation plays more, because it doesn't matter as much what the property next door to your house is worth. It matters how much money it's making, NOI, right? And that's what makes the property worth something. And you can really control NOI. You can't really control what your neighbor's house is worth, but you can control what the property you own is making in bottom line cash flow. By raising rents, by dropping expenses, by whatever, right?
Let's get deeper into that. You recently sold a property, right? What was that? DC, which one was that? You sold DC8.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing some of the numbers that you did on DC8? Sure. Yeah.
We paid, I mean, this is kind of an outlier here, but we paid $6.7 million for it because it was 198 units, and it was in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Had 75% occupied, but that means like 75% of the units had warm bodies in them. But of those warm bodies, only like 40% of those people were actually paying their rent. There were 4 active drug dealers living there. There was like heroin needles laying around the grass and stuff like that. So it was a really, really poorly run property. I mean, it's probably the worst run property I've ever taken ownership of. So we got in, we invested around 8 or 9,000 a unit. We brought in local police presence. We got all the knuckleheads out. We had the SWAT team come and take those drug dealers out. We had like, it was like a movie home. It was like stakeout. They had cops dressed as maintenance technicians walking around the property, going to do a work order, and they got all the bad folks out, and we were able to release the property. A lot of stories I don't need to tell right now for the interest of time, but we ended up getting the property value from here up to, I think, 16.5 million was what we sold it for, because we 4 times the rent, we 4 times the NOI, the bottom line number the property was making. We were able to increase that number by 4x, by getting the rest of the units leased out, putting people that actually qualified to live there into the units, getting the property viewed by the market up to another level. We had to rename the property because it was such a bad reputation, so we had to give it a new name. And so that was the longest. We added 2 playgrounds, added some other amenities, did a big lift on the property, but we were able to sell it when it was worth a good bit more. So that generated investors. We raised 3.2 million from our investors to make that deal happen. Most of that was pre-Bigger Pockets, by the way, and I raised that because we had done Derosa Capital 1 through 7 successfully. This was Derosa Capital 8 in that. So the long and short of it was we made investors a 3x return on their money. So everybody put in $1, got $3 back when we sold it. A lot of that had to do with the market, Hone. We timed it really, really well and sold it when the market was getting really, really frothy. But deals like that can still be done if you're looking to buy properties that are underperforming and everything around them is going well and this property's not. That's a great deal. We've learned how to recognize that really well, and we're able to teach people now how to find that same deal in their markets.
Wow. So let's recap the numbers real quick. So you bought it for, what was it, 6.8? You said
6.7.
6.7. So 6.7. And then you did about a $9,000 renovation for 198 units, was it? 198 units, right?
But I think we spent like 1.8, 1.9 million in renovations.
I did the math, right? $9,000 times 198 units is a 1.78 million. So round up for exterior and things like that.
That's a lot of work you can do. That's a lot of money to do a lot of work. And people are like, where'd you get that from? I borrowed it from a bank, because banks are willing to lend you. If you're going to be doing renovations on property, it's going to increase the amount of money the property makes. Banks will lend that money to you.
Right. So you bought it for 6.7, and then let's round up. Let's call it $2 million for renovations, right? Yeah. So we're at 8.7. Let's throw some closing costs in there and all that kind of stuff. So 8.7 turns to 9 million. So you're 9 million all in cost basis, let's say, right? 9 million all in. And then you said you sold it for
16.45.
16.45. Wow. So you made $7.5 million from flipping an apartment building.
Yeah.
What time frame is this?
My investors made most of that, and that's because that's the way it goes. I did very well, don't get me wrong. It's like my minimum wage. I'm super grateful for the amount of money we made on that deal, but our investors by far slayed it, and I'm really grateful that I was able to really, really hook up the people that believed in us on that deal. And me and my team, we did really, really well too.
Right.
and we deserve to, because we worked our tail off.
Right. And when it comes to
it took 4 years, by the way, to get to there. It was 4 years from the acquisition to sale was a 4-year process.
Okay. All right. So what did I say? That was $7.5 million, right? $7.5 million over 4 years. So you're little under $2 million a year of like value.
That's a good return on your time.
That's right? A great return on your time. So what I heard recently, what you just said though, is that our investors really made out. They slayed it. They did really well, which is interesting to me because it sounds like you did a great thing for them, right? You did them a service. You took their money and you 3x their money. What I hear is that's an opportunity that you were able to provide to them, and that this wasn't a favor that they did for you, right? Because a
No.
lot of people listen to me telling them to raise money, and they think like, oh, I don't want to ask people for money. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're not asking them to like borrow $50 to pump gas and you'll pay them back, you promise, next week. It's not
Yeah.
one of those situations.
No, my own mother was in on this deal, and she made 3x her money. I can tell you, I am so proud that I was able to do that for my mama,
Right.
And my mama did a lot of nice things for me, but I was able to triple my mother's money she had in that deal. Guy I went to high school with was in that deal. Guy I went to college with was in that deal. Other relatives of mine were in that deal as well. And so I think that if someone listening here gets squirrely putting their family members into deals that they're in, do a spot check for yourself as to why that is, right? Do a spot check for yourself as to how much you believe in your business, and get excited about your business, because then you should be able to talk to them with that same level of excitement. Like, hey, I hope you're sitting down, because I've got the best opportunity for you ever, and this is going to be amazing. And I know you want to keep things separate from family and business and whatnot, but at the end of the day, the only other look at the other alternatives they have. Your own mama. Look what she's got. She's got Wall Street. She's got financial advisors, right? She's got putting in cash underneath her mattress. You have, as real estate investors, you have the best opportunity ever to give them an alternative to those things. And really help them make, even, it doesn't have to be 3x their money like I did, right? It could be, 10%, 5%, 8%, whatever it is you think you can do, either through a private loan or private equity, right? It's likely better than what they can get elsewhere. And they want something else. They're begging for something else, and you can give that to them.
Right. No, that's incredible. And that's what I want you guys watching this. I want you guys to take that away, that when you're raising money from them, they're not doing you the favor. You're doing them the favor, because you're giving them another opportunity to put their money into a vehicle that's safer and that provides better returns than what they have access to now. Like Matt was saying, you got mutual fund guys, Wall Street guys, whatever, and their performance isn't any better, right? Their performance isn't any better. So it's just be mindful. You guys are the prize, right? You guys are the prize, not the people with the money. Right.
Well, my book, that's a like brief plug for my book, Raising Private Capital. It talks about two different people involved in a real estate transaction. And they're both 100% necessary. They both bring the exact same thing to the table. And one's the cash provider who brings money. The other person is the deal provider who brings the deal, the know-how, the resources, the muscle, the time, the effort, the contacts, everything else that we bring. Because the money would have nowhere to go if it weren't for the deal. And the deal wouldn't happen if it weren't for the money. And these two things are 100% reliant upon each other.
Right. In terms of actually buying the apartment building, so everybody understands you can collect cash flow, and then everybody understands you'll make money when you sell the building. But throughout the project, are there other ways that you, as the operator, syndicator, general partner, you make money in the deal?
Yeah, you make a fee when the property. I didn't learn this one until like Derosa Capital 7. That like, oh, I'm supposed to be taking a fee. I was just doing deals for equity, right? But you get more sophisticated and you learn how to do this. And we teach people how to arrange these deals all the time. In that you take an acquisition fee, which is typically somewhere between 1% and 3% of the purchase price of the property, and then you take a asset management fee, which is your fee for overseeing the property manager or whatever, and that's typically a percent of collected rents. And then you take typically some folks take a fee at the back end when the property sells, called a capital transaction fee or a return of capital fee, whatever that may look like. So,
right.
And then you get a percentage of profit, which is really where the money is, and really what matters the most, and what investors should be excited to see you take, is that you get a win-win. That for every dollar the property makes, you get a couple cents of that, and the investors get a couple cents of that too. A lot of times they get more than you do, but that's okay, because that's your incentive for the property doing better and better. And that's what they should be excited about, is the better the property does, the more money you make as the operator.
Right. So for those listening, if you guys didn't catch all of that, so let's say this DC8, he bought it for $6.7 million. And let's say that there was a 3% acquisition fee on that. That means Matt and whoever else was part of the acquisition would make $200,000. That's the fee. $200,000 goes to the operators for doing the deal. So you don't only have to rely on the rents that are generated or the cash flow that's generated from the property or the sale of the property. You also have the acquisition fee, that $200,000. Then you have an asset management fee throughout the property as you're turning it over. And then, as he was saying, with the disposition, maybe you charge a fee when you sell the property. So there's little
But
fees.
most importantly, as the property make more money, you make more money. As the property, you raise rents, I mean, all these things come back to you as the operator too. Yeah.
Right. So so it sounds like there's a ton of things to learn in terms of multifamily investing, and we can be here for 15 years learning this, but we don't have that much time. We probably have like 15 minutes left. So Matt, in terms of learning how to invest in multifamily properties, there is a multifamily property tour that we have coming up. Care to share what you're going to be covering at this property tour, what people can expect if they decide to go?
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to blow people's minds, bottom line, Hone. And we're going to do what I wish people would have done when I was first getting into multifamily or expanding into the bigger business, into bigger deals. Which is like, you could read a book on multifamily, and you should, and there's plenty of books out there. You could go to a weekend course on multifamily, and you should, because I'm sure there's good stuff out there. But people end up paying way more than they probably should for these kinds of things, because what's really missing is like direct boots on the ground access. How do you know? Like, how can you test drive how can you go buy a car without test driving the car, without researching the car itself? We're going to allow you guys to go walk real multifamily Derosa Group owned assets that we own in North Carolina. We're going to walk 3 of them. Meet the property managers, tour unturned apartments, tour turned apartments, meet the maintenance staff, meet the leasing agents, hear how they operate, hear how their brains work, hear what makes them get excited about deals, things that like problems they've had, have them tell you some horror stories and some success stories, and hear the stories of the assets you're walking. And that's day 1. Then day 2, we're going to be doing a deep dive in a conference room and talking a lot about the students there, about your goals, where you guys want to go. This is not going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. This is going to be a handful, like a dozen people in the room. So each person is going to get a real spotlight from us and a lot of love and attention from us to help them get where they want to go. You need a mortgage broker? Great. Here's my mortgage broker's phone number. You need a CPA? Great. Here's my CPA's phone number. You need an insurance company, whatever you need to get yourself where you want to go. We're going to give all that. We're going to give a 90-day structure for goal setting. And everybody's going to walk out of there with what they're going to be doing in the next 90 days to get their multifamily business to the next level. So it's going to be very, very intensive, very immersive, very like hands-on, with direct access to me and my whole team. Acquisition manager is going to be there. Asset manager is going to be there. Investor equity specialist is going to be there. One of my project managers is going to be there too. We're going to be doing a Zoom with my underwriter. He's going to underwrite deals for us right there live. We're going to look at new markets using CoStar, which is a very expensive tool that we bought that helps us evaluate opportunities and find deals. We're going to give you guys access to that at the event. So all in, man, it's what I would want to do, and we're going to have a lot of fun too as well.
Right.
Because we have a lot of fun at Derosa.
So it's like everything that you did over the last 17 years, everything that you figured out, all of the mistakes you made, all of the things that you did right, and you put it all together, and you're doing it at properties that you currently own. I think I did the math. It was like 580 units that we're going to be touring across 3 different properties, right, guys? Almost 600 units. So you're gonna get to go see what it looks like to be there, to touch it, to like talk to the tenants, talk to the staff, talk to the people running it. And Matt lives in PA now, but the properties are in North Carolina that we would be visiting. So he's also going to be showing you guys how to do these investments out of state, how he runs it without him having to run it. Right. So it's the whole operation. And then he's also going to be sharing all of the resources, all of the documents that you need, right? What paperwork you need, how to make sure when you're underwriting it, that it is a good deal, so that when you are bringing your mom or your brother or your sister into the deal, you feel good about it and you're not worried that you're going to lose their money. If you underwrite it and it's a fantastic deal all around, you can have a lot of confidence when you're saying, hey, mom, hey, brother, hey, sister, would you like to put your money in this deal? You guys are giving them this opportunity to double their money, triple their money like Matt did. So this is a great opportunity for you guys to learn about multifamily investing. Anything else you want to share upon that, Matt?
I think that, I mean, I think you really nailed it, Hone. I mean, I think that, again, it's something that I would have liked to participate in. And I'll say one more thing. And that the folks that are going to be there, we've already got a lot of folks signed up for this thing. The folks that are going to be participating in this are all real, folks that are looking to grow their businesses. Well, these are not folks that just stumbled into real estate investing, yesterday. These are folks that are seasoned, and so the contacts, the networking in the room is going to be good. And you're also going to get direct access to network with me and my team to hear how we got where we got and to pick our brains the whole time. And also the Hone Tie will be there as well. So stand back. Hone will be in the zone.
Oh yeah.
We'll
All
be
right, guys.
multiplying in the zone. Right.
So there's a couple of things I want to go over with you guys real quick. If you guys want to check out the property tour, go to derosagroup.com/tour-ht. Again, derosagroup.com/tour-ht. And if you guys need to email me, go to hone@honezone.com. And for those who decide to act immediately, we have a coupon code for you guys, Derosa Turkey 2022. For
Gobble,
anybody,
gobble.
yeah, for anybody interested who wants to take action, who says, look, 2023 is going to be a better year for me because I'm going to be all set up and I'm going to be doing things in a big way, in a very different way than I have been. Derosa Turkey 2022
I think it's
coupon code.
25% off, right?
I think it's 30. I think it's 30 actually.
Whatever.
Something that's like the down payment you need for a deal, 25 to 30%, right? So that's what you're going to be getting off when you use this coupon code Derosa Turkey 2022. Simply go to derosagroup.com/tour-ht. And if you guys need to reach out to me, hone@honezone.com. The dates are going to be December 7th through the 9th in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, right?
Yes, Winston, North Carolina, December the 7th. You did fly in, and I'm flying in on a flight out of Philadelphia. So get on my plane, get on my American Airlines flight that leaves early that morning. So that arrives Wednesday. We start Wednesday like mid-afternoon, and then we go till Friday mid to late afternoon as well. So you can fly down Wednesday, back Friday. The fee that we're talking about here covers your hotel, covers your food, covers your everything. All you do is get yourself there, and we'll take it from there. That's it.
Right. So bus tour, food, drinks, entertainment, all of it, right? Everything is included. You just have to fly there. So that's going to be on you guys. Guys, take a screenshot of this so that you don't have to like go, oh man, what was that information? Go ahead, screenshot it right now. Click. There you go. Hit me up, email me.
Hit him up, hone@honezone, derosagroup.com/tour/ht.
Yes.
Yes, man. Yeah, I really like to see some of you good people there. I recognize some names here on the screen, and if you guys are a friend of Hone's, you're a friend of mine, in that. So we're just looking for good people that want to participate in this kind of thing. So give us a heads up, man. If you want to ask more questions about it or whatever, shoot Hone a line, hone@honezone.
Yeah, and Matt,
see you there, man.
Real quick, let's take it right back. Last words that you would have for people looking to become real estate investors or looking to become bigger and better real estate investors. What would you say to them? What words of advice, what hints, what tips, what anything outside of what you already said?
Okay. One foot in front of the other. Get in front of people that are a few foots down the road than you are. Don't try and figure it out yourself. Get in. If it's not our group, that's okay. I'm not attached to that, but get yourself in front of someone who's taken a few steps down the road. And it can show you the next steps to take. You don't have to see the whole staircase. You got to just see the next step. That's it. And we can help you guys figure out the next step that you need to take to get from where I was just a couple of years ago to, bordering on 2,000 units under management and about to break through that and on to the next level from there. So make sure that you guys have folks around you that can take you to the next level.
With a portfolio of $150 million, I think you're a couple of steps ahead of us for sure, Matt. So that is awesome. And I want to share a quick little finding. So if you sat with a Rubik's Cube and you had a blindfold on and you didn't know what you were doing, you just randomly did it, you could actually accomplish that. It would just take about 6,000 years. I think that they estimate it. It would take 6,000 years of randomness that you would actually land the Rubik's Cube. Imagine though, if you were still blindfolded and you didn't know what you were doing, but every time you clicked it, a person was sitting across from you would say yes or no. And if they said yes every time you did something right, but you were still blindfolded, how long do you think it would take? Probably a couple hours now,
Yeah.
right? Big difference.
A lot shorter.
A lot shorter. So Matt did this in 17 years, kind of blindfolded with the Rubik's Cube. Now he's going to be sitting in front of you saying yes or no.
I can do a lot faster than I did. Yeah, exactly. Right. I'll tell you that. Because they'll say, no, I turned the Rubik's Cube that way. Don't do that because I know that's a snake trap. Don't do it. Yeah. So
yeah, there's so many things you figure out the hard way. And it's like, oh man, if only I could go back in time.
That's how I'm able to teach because I got all the battle scars that I'm trying to help people avoid. So
yeah. And sometimes the battle scars are so deep, it knocks you out of the game completely. And you don't want that. You don't want that. I've seen that happen.
I got back up and kept going, but I don't want you guys to deal with that, especially in today's market. So Hohen, it's been awesome being with you today, brother.
Yeah, Matt, thank you so much for sharing all of your tips, tricks, wisdom, and everything else, and being so transparent with all your numbers.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you in Winston-Salem, and I hope to see some of these lovely folks here in Winston-Salem in a couple of weeks, man.
All right, Matt, see you later. All right, thank you.
Cool. See you guys.
All right, everybody else, thank you guys all for attending today's Zoom call. Zoom call with Matt Faircloth, the one and only. And don't forget to buy his book. Matt, what was that book? What's the book name right there?
Raising Private Capital. Raising Private Capital. Pick that up.
There it is.
Make sure you get the name right.
Right on his wall, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here. I think we're giving away free signed copies of it at the event too. So if you don't have it, I can get you one.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you guys all for watching.
You're welcome, Dwayne.
I'm Ho Tai. Let's multiply. See ya.
See you, brother. Bye-bye.